Welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. Our last flight saw us fail to get to the Tundra. Now, I have done a little bit of research and have found that sporadically throughout this Tundra area there are going to be other biomes. So we are going to try to aim for a wider area of Tundra, and this area that we are looking for is going to be relatively large, and it's going to be in this area right in here is where we're going to try to land. Hopefully that will lead us to what we're looking for. So, with that said, we got Bill Kerman back in the pilot seat. Jebediah has been kept at bay using a series of high-tech straps, and we shall get underway to the Tundra. Bill not looking very confident in his mission. Not looking very confident at all. Hopefully that will bode better for us than Jebediah's unfettered enthusiasm. Coming up to the end of our solid fuel. Liquid fuel rockets engaged. Gonna set up our northerly approach. Going to try to avoid going quite so high this time. Nope, overshot it a little bit here. Let's bring it back. Angle us a little bit. we're actually going to want, I think, to land closer to here. So we're going to back that up just a little bit. And that should hopefully put us firmly within tundra territory. Three minutes to spin our rocket around here. There we are. Overdid it a little, but I think we should still be okay. Let's go ahead and clear that out of here. Let's go ahead and let's accelerate. You can see some debris below us. I believe that was our last landing zone. Officially over the tundra now. Grab our crew report, transmit that. Reasonable speed for our parachutes to deploy. Bill Kerman doing what Jebediah could not. Let's go ahead and get him out on that ladder. Carefully now, Bill. Carefully. Let's get him back inside. So that is going to be our crew report, our thermometer reading, and our EVA. Just want to double check that that thermometer reading went through. I worry about those types of things. Send a quick message back to the folks at home. Alright, let's get ready for touchdown. Bill seems pretty excited. Much happier with the engines off and in the fate of parachutes than he was in the fate of his own hands. That's kind of Bill's attitude. I'm not going to say it's the most common for a Kerbal not to have, but it's also not the least common. We have touchdown, and you'll notice we managed to do that without falling over, which is always exciting. Much less frustration in this landing. We have the mysterious goo. Let's go ahead and grab our materials bay. Now let's get a different thermometer reading. So apparently 15 degrees is cold enough, or 15 units on the thermometer is cold enough to keep things permanently frozen. Good to know. Let's go ahead and grab our barometric reading. Okay. Now we've got a crew report to make sure that we file. A whopping 1.5 science there. Let's go out and do our EVA. Carefully climbing down the ladder. Here we go. We got that. We've got our surface sample. And with that, we can finally close out this area as being one that we need to explore. 30 kilometers from our previous attempt. We shall recover our vessel. Adding 40 science this time. 11 experiments. So nice job there. Alright, with that out of the way, the next area that we would like to land in would either be considered the mountains or the Badlands. So let's go ahead and set up a flight to try to get there. Mountains and Badlands, two separate areas, but located relatively close to one another. No, I don't want Jebediah. I want Bill. Jebediah is just very much a go-getter. Now, finding the Badlands, something I've always found a bit difficult. Especially when they're covered in shadow. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to wait a little bit for this launch here. For daylight. There we go. And I believe our target zone here is going to be this spot right here between those mountains so this is where we're headed. If we miss, if for whatever reason we can't land on this, we're going to try to land on one of these mountain ranges, but the Badlands is where I would desperately like to go. So that will be our mission here. We've got Bill dancing. He's very excited. Whether he's excited for this mission or excited that he survived the last one, the world may never know. But let's go ahead and get this flight underway. Not looking too happy there, Bill. But he should be happy. Everything so far is going according to plan. This high-flying rocket we've designed, getting a lot of use. Whether or not we're using it to its full potential is beside the point. We're using technology that we have and just knocking away these little chunks of science that have been missed for one reason or another. Hopefully unlock enough of that tech tree that we will make a comfortable landing on the moon as opposed to a haphazard landing on the moon. Solid fuel rockets burning out as we approach 7 kilometers. Igniting the liquid fuel engines. And we're going to switch over to our map view here. And we're going to start what we need to. It looks like actually if we stay pretty much 90 degrees, we should end up where we want to go. On the exact opposite side of the planet here. Alright, I guess the exact opposite would be around here, and we're going a little less than that. But we're going to use Truman Show logic and say that Fiji Islands are the exact opposite point of everywhere, really. Should be our first rockets burning out. I feel like I'm going to need to get a little bit more altitude than I'm thinking I needed. Also looks like we're going to head a little bit more southerly than we were anticipating. Not much, but a little. That should be good. Remember, we don't want to climb up too high or we are going to be just screaming down towards. There we are. That's looking not too shabby. We're going to go ahead. We're going to set up a 200. That's way more than I wanted, but that's alright. Set that up, bring us down over the fattest part of that area. Given how high up we are, we're going to hit the atmosphere probably around here. So we're going to want it to be a little bit further than it says we want it. And we'll use our rockets to try to control to put us down in this soft patch there. So that's the plan. Let's go ahead and get our craft into position. We're actually going to go ahead and lose those rockets now. One, it's going to give us a little bit more maneuverability, but two, they're not going to last much through that entire burn, and then with the mass change, it throws off the math. So let's go ahead and get into position. There we are. And that'll be 5 minutes from now. Bill looking very serene. 2.5 minutes from now for that burn. 90 seconds. Less than a minute. 30 seconds. There we are. Now you can see actually when our flight path was altered a little bit by changing our mass there. We're going to go ahead, we're actually going to burn just a little bit prograde with the intent to make that corridor a little bit longer for us. Because as you can see, it's slowly inching away. We're not looking for much, but again, just to counteract the amount of drag we're going to encounter when we hit the atmosphere. There we go. Now if all goes well, this should be what we're looking for. You can see that's already shallowing out there. So we're going to give it just one more little gusto. Now we want to spin our craft around retrograde so that we can garner control as we're doing our re-entry. We're at 160 kilometers above the surface, so we got some time. As you can see, we've already started shallowing out of that again, which makes me want to increase it even more. Mostly because I really don't enjoy having to redo these missions due to a botched selection here. Now this is, of course, good practice for when we are trying to pick a more specific landing zone on another body. And I probably should be giving it more attention and more forethought, but the seat of the pants has worked so far for this space program. And until tragedy strikes, that's probably going to be the way we're going to continue things. Probably not the best idea powering in there as we're in the atmosphere. We've started a pretty bad spin. This is the area we're looking for. We're going to go ahead and ditch that. We're going to try to roll us over. Looks like we're going to be too shallow. This might constitute as Badlands, but I'm almost 100% sure that this does, so that's where we're going to try to aim. I think at this point it might be too little too late. Still considered over the highlands. Trying desperately now to get to where we need to be. And that is all of the fuel we have. And we are not going to make it. Really, really disappointed with our performance on that. Very disappointed. We didn't miss it by much, but we did miss our target landing zone here. Having already done all the reports that we can do from the highlands, this has been... Oh, you know what? I do not believe that we have done an EVA report from the highlands. But apparently we have. Most upsetting there. Another instance of zero science obtained. And that is going to go down as another failure for us in these quick flights, dropping down to a 50% success rate, which is pretty awful. We're going to try one more, if you'll stick around, and we're going to try to get that high fire flip 4. Put Bill in the driver's seat. Launch. It's going to be a touch and go. Bill barely has time to register where he is. We're going to go a much more conservative 30 degrees instead of our normal 45. Hopefully keep us from gaining too much altitude and making our site selection a little bit easier. That scares the crap out of me every time. We're going to angle up a little bit because we are very shallow here. Started that roll too early, I guess. Alright, let's go like that. Down a little bit. That's not what I wanted, but sure. Down a little bit. Let's bring that like that. That's going to be 129 as opposed to a little over 200. Give it a little less oomph than that. Significantly less oomph than that. That's going to be what we're going to try for. There we are. That's the plan. Nearly 600 meters per second to change. I did not jettison the other parts like I did before. 40 seconds here. Let's go ahead and fire up those engines. Alright, we're coming in a lot more shallow this time, but I think I still want more room to play with. Here we're coming into the atmosphere. Already losing a ton. So what we're going to do is, before we get too far gone, and hopefully that will be enough. And again, it's not. That's slowing us down, which is not what I want, of course. But I'm having a very hard time controlling the rocket. Bill, just happy to be coming home again. I don't want us to be going retrograde. I want us to be going up and prograde. Because we're missing it by miles and miles and miles. Had some good tumbling there. Got lucky. Got incredibly lucky. Through sheer luck, we happen to be passing over the Badlands. This must just be a small spot of them. But I will certainly take advantage of it as much as I can. Let's make sure our gear drops. So about 1.2 kilometers below us is the ground. Okay. Ship has settled down. Bill going out for his EVA. Still in the Badlands. Nice job. We're going to board. Going to descend. And we'll run our usual set of experiments. Alright, so we'll extend our ladder. We'll run goo. Run our science bay. You worry that it may have a bad influence on them. That joke there, good enough to alleviate the stress I was feeling about failing a second mission, so nice job. Happy about that one. Our barometer. Our thermometer. We got our material bay. We got our goo. We got our thermometer. We have our barometer. We're going to do our EVA. Going to collect our sample. And we're going to take our EVA report. And then we just don't want to forget our crew report from the ground. Nice job, Bill Kerman, successfully gathering multitudes of science for the cause. About 140 science altogether for Bill. Our 10 experiments were recovered. And thankfully, that was successful. We've now paid off what we spent in order to get our last upgrade, which was, of course, the barometer. In addition, we also wanted the ladders to make landing easier, which gives us 670 science to spend. Multitudes of things that we will need for landing on the moon, including solar panels, which are directional and not reliant on being flat against the body of the ship. We're going to, of course, want bigger engines, and nothing in there that we need at the moment. Nothing in there we need at the moment. If we wanted to really start preparing probes to send to other bodies, which I think we will do in order to up our scientific count, we'll want those. And then the landing struts and such we don't need yet. But that said, that's all for another time. We've successfully completed several more launches, furthering our understanding of our planet. And with the next video, we will hopefully be doing something fun. I'd like to do an orbital rendezvous relatively soon, and we might be making an attempt at making a probe to go to another planet. So with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.